Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. In our last programme, we talked about the problems of homelessness. We're going to start today by asking people this question. How big a problem is homelessness? ¿Es realmente grave el problema de las personas sin hogar?
And try to answer this question too. In what ways do people help the homeless? ¿Qué hace la gente para ayudar a esas personas?
I come from Brighton, where homelessness is a big problem. So, because I've worked with the homeless, I always try to give them money whenever I can.
There is homelessness in St Albans, but not a lot of it. And there are 2 or 3 wonderful organisations who help these people and provide lodgings for them. And it's not so bad as in London.
Well, it seems to be a problem. We haven't seen it, but it's recorded as such, and so it must be.
There's a big problem in London at the moment with homeless people. There are lots of people sleeping on the streets, and I think it's the government's fault. The government don't care. But there is a newspaper in Britain called The Big Issue, which homeless people sell to earn themselves some money. I think it's a very good idea.
Well, how big a problem is homelessness?
It's a very big problem, especially for young people. But it's not as bad outside London.
So in what ways do people help the homeless?
I always try to give them money.
I always try to give them money.
There are 2 or 3 wonderful organisations who help these people and provide lodgings for them.
They provide lodgings. Les proporcionan alojamiento.
There is a newspaper called The Big Issue.
The Big Issue, which homeless people sell to earn themselves some money.
Is The Big Issue a good idea?
I think The Big Issue's a really good idea. It gives the homeless a chance to get some money, and I've bought it several times when it's been offered to me.
The Big Issue is a very good idea. It helps the homeless get off the streets and back into society. By doing something for themselves, they get an awful lot of pleasure from it, I'm sure.
I think the Big Issue is a good idea, but people possibly think that by buying it, it'll solve homelessness, and that's not necessarily true.
But why are there so many homeless people? Whose fault is it? ¿De quién es la culpa?
Who is to blame? ¿Quién es el responsable?
In terms of who's to blame, I think partially the government. Maybe their background, I don't understand. A lot of homeless people tend to run away from home for one reason or another.
Homelessness is a big problem in England. I work in a centre where homeless people can come for tea and coffee and food. I think it's a problem because so many mental hospitals have been closed as a result of government cuts in funding. So until the government changes its policy, I think it'll still be a problem.
With regards to who is to blame for the homeless, that's such a huge question. I mean, partly the government, partly the individuals themselves. But I mean, it's not a problem that's going to go away very quickly.
No parece que este problema tenga fácil solución. Well now, here is the story of someone who has decided to help the homeless. She is a doctor and she is also a Roman Catholic nun, una monja católica. What does she do for the homeless?
Early evening in South London. Young homeless wait to be let into a night shelter in a converted pub. It's this or sleeping on the streets, shivering in West End doorways. If you are sleeping rough or staying in temporary hostels, you can't register with a doctor. And a new survey released to Channel 4 News shows that homeless people have far greater health problems than the rest of the population. At first glance, this looks like an ordinary doctor's surgery, but the big difference is that all the patients here are homeless. In fact, the doctor, a Roman Catholic nun, set it up specifically to catch a group of people who'd fallen through society's most basic safety net.
Oh, I think I'm jack of all trades here. I think in the work I do here, we have to go beyond the ordinary boundaries of medicine. To be mother nurse, all sorts of things like that, and my staff as well. Sometimes we just listen. My patients are people who are homeless from the streets, people who live in bed and breakfast hotels, people in hostels, living in squats, staying with friends, just sleeping on the floor. I think in the majority of cases it is not the person's fault they are in this position of being homeless. And I think a lot of the services are inadequate. The biggest increase has been in the roofless homeless, those who are literally without any home at all. That's 20%, and 3 years ago it was only 6%.
So, there has been a big increase in the number of homeless here in Britain.
Did you notice what the nun called herself? She said, "I'm a jack of all trades. Hago de todo un poco." She does lots of things to help the homeless. Sometimes she just listens.
You know, homelessness is not a recent problem.
It's time for the news. What was a cause of homelessness in the 16th century?
News, news. First, the headlines. Ordinary metal may be turned into gold. Homelessness on the streets of London. It is now legal to charge interest. But first, tonight's main story. Alchemists in the City of London have been trying to turn ordinary metal into gold. Over to our economics correspondent, Sir Sidney Walsingham. What's the story, Sir Sidney?
Well, Trevor, some very clever young men here in the City of London are going to turn ordinary metal into gold.
When?
Any minute now.
Are you sure? The alchemists have been promising to turn metal into gold for the last 100 years.
I hear that they will make gold very soon. In fact, I've just given Dr. Goodfellow some money to help him finish his experiments.
There have been reports that alchemy is just a way of getting money from rich old men who are greedy.
Have there? Where from?
Well, Sir Cecil Buckingham said that he had given the alchemist Dr. Goodfellow thousands of pounds.
Dr. Goodfellow? Oh dear, he seems such a nice man. I say, Dr. Goodfellow! Dr. Goodfellow!
Thank you, Sir Sidney. And now for the rest of the news. A report out today says that there are more homeless people in England than in any previous century. Unemployment is the main problem. Experts say this is because the population has almost doubled to 4 million in the last 100 years. And finally, until recently, it has been illegal to lend money and then charge interest. But from today, anyone can charge interest. If I'd known that yesterday, I wouldn't have borrowed the money to give to that alchemist. That's all the news from That's English. Good night.
So, what was a cause of homelessness in the 16th century?
Unemployment is the main problem.
El desempleo. Unemployment was the main problem. And why was unemployment a problem in the 16th century?
Experts say this is because the population has almost doubled to 4 million in the last 100 years.
The population had almost doubled to 4 million in the preceding 100 years.
And now...
How to be British. Splitting the bill.
Pagar la cuenta a medias.
The end of a meal in a restaurant can be a very difficult time for the British. Watch how they pay the bill.
That was a wonderful meal, wasn't it?
Yes, but I wish you hadn't complained about the meat.
Why?
It can be dangerous to eat meat that isn't properly cooked.
I would rather have died than complain to the waiter.
Why?
Everyone was listening.
£26.
Well, let's pay half each.
No. I've brought my calculator.
Please, not on the table.
Did you have 2 bread rolls with your soup?
Yes.
And how many glasses of wine?
2.
Waitress, I'd like a menu, please. I want to check the prices.
Oh, God. I wouldn't have come if I'd known you were going to do this. Let's just pay half each.
Do you think that's fair?
I don't know. It's not important. People are looking.
I like things to be fair. You should pay for what you eat.
If I'd known this would happen, I would never have come here. Look, I'll pay for the meal.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Which of those 2 people was behaving in a normal, typically British way?
Well, it was the man who didn't have the calculator. The British way of doing things is to split the bill in half. Pagar la cuenta a medias. 50% each. It doesn't matter how much you've eaten or how much you've drunk.
And why do the British do it like this? Well, it's not because they're kind or generous.
Isn't it, Tony?
No. It's because they get embarrassed if they have to talk about money.
If I'd known this would happen, I would never have come here.
If I'd known this would happen, I would never have come here.
You see, he was terribly embarrassed. So embarrassed that he preferred to pay for the whole meal himself.
And that's all we have time for. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Bye for now.